Welcome to How to Survive the Apocalypse. I'm your host, Ben Carter. As the sky darkened, the once vibrant blues turned into ominous shades of gray. A thick, heavy cloud descended upon the world, blotting out the sun, painting the world in hues of despair. It was as if the heavens themselves were grieving, weeping ash instead of rain. The world was changing, transforming into an alien landscape, unrecognizable and hostile. In the blink of an eye, thriving metropolises were reduced to ghost towns, their towering skyscrapers and bustling streets swallowed by an unending darkness. The eerie silence was punctuated only by the faint murmurs of the earth and the occasional thunderous roar of the supervolcano, a terrifying reminder of the cataclysmic force that had caused this apocalyptic shift. The eruption had happened without warning, the Earth's crust splitting open to release a cataclysmic force that blanketed the world in ash and plunged it into a volcanic winter. Nature's fury had been unleashed in its rawest form, a supervolcano eruption, an event so rare and devastating that it had the power to change the course of life on Earth. Everywhere, life was struggling to adapt to this new world. Animals that once roamed freely were now huddled in caves and burrows, their senses overwhelmed by the ash-filled air. Plants, once green and vibrant, were now coated in a layer of ash, their leaves wilting under the weight. The world had been thrust into a survival of the fittest scenario, and only those who could adapt to this harsh new environment would endure. Amidst this chaos and destruction, humans too found themselves in a fight for survival. With the sun's rays blocked by the ash cloud, temperatures plummeted, crops failed, water sources became contaminated, and the air filled with toxic gases. Society as we knew it began to crumble under the weight of the catastrophe. The rules of civilization were replaced by the primal laws of survival. Yet, even in the face of such adversity, the human spirit remained unbroken. Communities banded together, sharing resources, knowledge, and skills in an effort to survive. They learned to navigate this brave new world, using innovation and resilience to adapt to their harsh new reality. They found ways to filter water, grow food, and protect themselves from the ash and toxic gases. It was humanity's indomitable will to survive that kept hope alive in a world shrouded in darkness. Despite the grim circumstances, there were whispers of secret knowledge, arcane wisdom that could be the key to survival. These were not fanciful myths or folklore, but ancient teachings, suppressed truths that had been hidden away, kept from the eyes of the common man. These forbidden pieces of knowledge held untold power, the power to adapt, to survive, to thrive even in the most dire of circumstances. In many ways, the eruption of the supervolcano was a testament to the awesome power of nature, a reminder of our vulnerability and insignificance in the grand scheme of things. But it also served as a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity, our ability to adapt, and our collective will to survive against all odds. The signs were there, subtle at first, then increasingly apparent. Seismic activity around the Yellowstone region had been fluctuating erratically, with tremors growing in frequency and intensity. Geologists monitoring the area noticed an alarming pattern. The ground over the caldera was rising, a clear indication that magma was accumulating beneath the surface. The world, however, remained largely oblivious to these warning signs, the impending catastrophe buried under the weight of everyday concerns. Then came the economic unrest. Global markets were hit with sudden instability as the tremors intensified. The agricultural sector, heavily reliant on the region's fertile soil, was the first to bear the brunt. Crop yields dwindled, food prices soared, and economies around the world began to buckle under the strain. Panic set in as the realization dawned that this was not just another cyclical downturn, but a harbinger of a catastrophe of unprecedented scale. The environmental indicators were no less alarming. Wildlife behavior shifted alarmingly, with herds migrating away from the Yellowstone region in droves, a mass exodus driven by a primal instinct for survival. Streams and rivers heated up, killing off marine life, while the once serene landscape of the region was marred by frequent minor eruptions, a prelude to the grand catastrophe that was to come. Meanwhile, social unrest grew in tandem with the increasing geological activity. Governments struggled to maintain order as fear and uncertainty spread like wildfire. Conspiracy theories flourished, fueled by whispers of forbidden knowledge and arcane wisdom that offered the key to survival. The common man, left in the dark and gripped by fear, clung to these tales of secret truths and suppressed information, desperate for a glimmer of hope amidst the growing chaos. All these indicators pointed to one horrifying conclusion. The supervolcano was awakening. The world was staring at a disaster of apocalyptic proportions, one that would change the face of the earth and test the very limits of human survival. But even as the ground beneath them shook and the sky began to darken with ash, humanity held on, stubborn and resilient, ready to face the coming storm. It had survived ice ages, pandemics, and wars. Now, it was time to survive the eruption of the supervolcano. As the first ash clouds began to blot out the sun, the initial shockwave of realization rippled across the globe. This was no longer a theoretical threat discussed in hushed tones or apocalyptic fiction. The supervolcano had awoken, and the world was on the precipice of descending into chaos. Governments, once pillars of order and control, found themselves in the grip of rapidly escalating panic. Emergency meetings were convened around the world, with leaders scrambling to formulate contingency plans, but decades of complacency had left them ill-prepared for a disaster of this magnitude. The existing emergency protocols, designed for conventional crises, were woefully inadequate in the face of a supervolcano eruption. National borders, economies, and diplomatic ties, once the bedrock of global order, seemed trivial against the towering ash clouds. Law enforcement agencies, stretched thin and under-resourced, struggled to contain the burgeoning chaos. As the ashfall worsened, roads became impassable, communications faltered, and infrastructure crumbled. The thin veneer of societal order began to flake away, revealing a raw underbelly of human fear and desperation. At the heart of this societal breakdown were ordinary people, caught in the throes of a calamity they could neither comprehend nor control. Panic buying stripped supermarket shelves bare, while the demand for survival gear, gas masks, and air purifiers surged. As the ash blocked out the sun, plunging cities into a premature twilight, people barricaded themselves in their homes, clinging to the fragile hope that they might ride out the storm. Yet, amidst the fear and the chaos, humanity's indomitable spirit shone through. Communities came together, sharing resources and lending support to one another. Amateur radio enthusiasts became lifelines, their broadcasts piercing through the ash-laden static to bring news, advice, and most importantly, a sense of connection in an increasingly isolated world. The eruption of the supervolcano was a crucible, a test of survival that would either forge humanity anew or shatter it entirely. As the world teetered on the brink of this unprecedented catastrophe, the true measure of human resilience was about to be tested in a way never seen before. In the immediate aftermath of the eruption, the first 72 hours are critical. During this period, the focus of every survivor must shift from understanding the enormity of the disaster to the basic tenets of survival: water, shelter, safety, and stability. Securing potable water is the first priority. With ash contaminating most ground and surface water sources, survivors must rely on their stored supplies. Rainwater, if it falls, is a godsend, but it must be collected carefully, ensuring it's not tainted by falling ash. Water purification tablets, filters, or even boiling can help render suspect water safe for consumption. Next is the need for shelter. The fine, glassy particles in volcanic ash are abrasive and can cause serious respiratory issues, skin irritation, and eye damage. Structures that can provide protection from the ashfall are vital. Buildings with sturdy roofs and minimal openings are preferred. Taping windows, doors, and any other gaps can prevent the invasive ash from entering the shelter. Safety is another paramount concern. The societal order has faltered, but the basic rules of human decency must not. Cooperation, not conflict, is key to survival. This is a time when humanity needs to stand together, to share resources and information, to lend a helping hand whenever possible. Trust and mutual respect can be more valuable than any survival gear. The last priority, stability, is perhaps the most challenging. In the face of such an immense catastrophe, maintaining a semblance of normalcy can seem impossible. Yet, it is essential. Establishing routines, assigning responsibilities, and even simple acts like meal times or scheduled rest periods can provide a sense of order amidst the chaos. Mental resilience is as crucial as physical survival. Hope, too, plays an important role. The belief in a better future, the conviction that humanity can and will endure, is what fuels the will to survive. In these critical first 72 hours, the immediate aftermath of a supervolcano eruption, the challenges are immense, the stakes even higher. But history has shown us time and time again that humans are capable of extraordinary feats when faced with the unthinkable. And in this harshest of trials, it's this indomitable spirit that will illuminate the path to survival. As days turn into weeks and weeks into months, resource scarcity becomes a daunting reality. The survivors must adapt, learning to ration whatever supplies they have judiciously. Every morsel of food, every drop of water, now holds an even greater value. The ability to stretch these resources for as long as possible becomes a vital skill. Food scarcity is a major concern. In the immediate aftermath, canned goods and non-perishable items provide sustenance. But as these supplies dwindle, survivors must turn to alternative food sources. Hunting and trapping may become necessary if local fauna has managed to survive. Edible plants, if any are left untouched by the ash, can supplement diets. Knowledge of local flora and fauna is invaluable in this regard. Creativity in cooking becomes essential. Traditional recipes are abandoned in favor of simple, energy-efficient meals that maximize the nutritional value of limited ingredients. Sharing meals communally can also help ration supplies and foster unity among survivors. Water purification is another crucial adaptive skill. Rainwater, if available, must be collected and purified. This can be achieved by boiling it, using purification tablets, or even creating makeshift filters using sand, charcoal, and cloth. Any available water source, no matter how dubious, must be considered for purification and consumption. Living without power is a harsh reality that must be accepted. Survivors must adapt to life without electricity, learning to preserve food without refrigeration, cook without stoves, and light their shelters without bulbs. The absence of power makes the nights longer and colder, and tasks that were once mundane now require significant effort and planning. The lack of currency and communication forces survivors to revert to more primitive forms of trade and interaction. Barter becomes the new economy, with essential goods and skills becoming the most valuable commodities. Communication, too, becomes more localized. Without modern technology, information is shared through word of mouth and handwritten notes. Trust and cooperation become the cornerstones of this new society. Adapting to life in this ash-choked world is a bitter challenge, but one that must be met. Though the landscape is alien and hostile, the survivors must make it their own. They must learn to see the world not as it was, but as it is, and adapt accordingly. The dream of a better future may seem far off, but it is this very dream that fuels the will to survive, to adapt, to endure. As the survivors work to adapt to their new reality, they must confront not only the environmental challenges but also the threats posed by their fellow human beings and the psychological toll of their circumstances. In the aftermath of the eruption, social order as we know it collapses. The rule of law is replaced by the rule of survival, and without the structures of society to keep them in check, some individuals turn to looting. These opportunists prey on the vulnerable, stealing essential resources and adding another layer of danger to an already perilous existence. Equally dangerous are the militias that may form in the absence of established authority. These self-appointed protectors can quickly become tyrants, imposing their will on the survivors with threats of violence. They may hoard resources, monopolize skills, and control the flow of information. Survivors must navigate these power dynamics carefully, balancing their need for safety with their desire for autonomy. Disease, too, poses a grave threat. The ash-filled air can lead to respiratory ailments, while contaminated water sources can cause outbreaks of waterborne diseases. In such conditions, even minor injuries can become life-threatening without proper treatment. Lack of medical supplies and expertise exacerbates these risks, making prevention a crucial aspect of survival. The psychological impact of enduring such a cataclysmic event is profound. The constant stress, the grief over the loss of loved ones and a familiar world, the uncertainty of the future, all these factors can lead to mental health crises. Symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, and anxiety may become prevalent. The importance of psychological resilience cannot be overstated. It is as vital as physical health in ensuring survival. Yet amid these dire circumstances, the human spirit often reveals its capacity for resilience and adaptation. The same conditions that breed looters and militias also give rise to leaders, healers, and peacemakers. Communities may form around shared resources and mutual aid, offering some semblance of security and companionship in the face of adversity. The challenge of surviving in a post-eruption world is not merely one of physical survival, but also of maintaining humanity in the face of stark adversity. In this grim landscape, the survivors must confront not only the threats of their environment, but also the darker aspects of human nature and the toll of their own psychological trauma. Yet it is precisely in these dire conditions that the true measure of human resilience and adaptability is revealed. The struggle to survive is, in essence, a struggle to retain our humanity amid the ashes. In the aftermath of the inferno, a new social order begins to emerge from the ashes. Group formation and social dynamics act as pivotal elements in ensuring survival and maintaining a semblance of civilization amid chaos. Small, tightly knit communities start to form, bound together by shared experiences, common objectives, and the need for mutual protection. These communities, though small in scale, are humanity's best hope for survival and re-establishing some semblance of order. The constitution of these groups is often diverse, with individuals bringing in a wide array of skills, knowledge, and capabilities. Farmers and gardeners become invaluable for their expertise in food production, while medics and nurses provide crucial healthcare services. Carpenters, engineers, and builders are vital for constructing shelters, and teachers offer education and knowledge preservation. Each person, regardless of their prior status in the old world, becomes a crucial cog in the new societal machine. Leadership in these groups can take various forms. Often, it falls to those with the most relevant experience or skills. Doctors leading in healthcare matters, engineers guiding construction efforts, and so on. However, the best leaders are often those who can inspire trust, foster cooperation, and make difficult decisions for the community's greater good. These leaders are not just authority figures, but also mediators, strategists, and symbol bearers of hope and resilience. However, these emergent communities must also contend with external threats. The struggle to procure resources can lead to conflict with other groups, and the lack of a centralized authority can create a power vacuum filled by those willing to use force to assert control. Therefore, defense becomes a crucial aspect of these communities' operation, requiring strategic planning and vigilance. Trust, in these circumstances, becomes a currency as valuable as any resource. It is the glue that holds these communities together, allowing them to function despite the constant threat of external and internal discord. It is established through transparency, fairness, and mutual respect. However, maintaining trust is a delicate balancing act, one that requires constant vigilance and effort. In this new world, the survival of communities often hinges on their ability to adapt to changing circumstances, to make collective decisions that prioritize the greater good, and to maintain a sense of unity and purpose amid adversity. At its core, the process of rebuilding is not just about constructing shelters or securing resources. It is about re-establishing the fundamental tenets of society: cooperation, trust, and mutual respect, in a world where they have been violently uprooted. Amid the ash and ruin, humanity's capacity for resilience and hope continues to burn brightly, a testament to our enduring will to survive and rebuild. As the dust begins to settle, the challenge of long-term survival becomes paramount. Life after the initial collapse requires meticulous planning and sustainable practices. In a world blanketed by ash, traditional agriculture is devastated. The sun's rays are blocked, temperatures plummet, and plant life withers. However, a solution might be found in the resilient fungi, which thrive in the volcanic aftermath, breaking down the ash into fertile soil. In this changed world, cultivation takes on new forms. In the immediate aftermath, communities rely on stored food supplies. As these dwindle, they turn to foraging, hunting, and fishing. But they also begin experimenting with alternative farming methods. Hydroponics, which involves growing plants in a nutrient solution without soil, could be a viable option. Similarly, aquaponics, a system that combines conventional aquaculture with hydroponics, can provide both fish and plants for consumption. These innovative agricultural practices could ensure food security in the community. Energy production, too, undergoes a radical shift. With the sun obscured by the ash cloud, solar panels become obsolete. Instead, communities turn to other forms of renewable energy. Wind turbines might become a common sight, harnessing the power of the wind to generate electricity. Alternatively, geothermal energy could be tapped, using the Earth's natural heat to create power. Biomass, too, could be utilized, converting organic materials into energy. In a world where resources are scarce, trade becomes vital. Communities may specialize in certain products or services and exchange them with others. This promotes inter-community cooperation and helps diversify resources. A community with an abundance of fish, for instance, might trade with another that has mastered mushroom cultivation. A third community, adept at crafting tools, could exchange their wares for food or other necessities. Survival knowledge becomes invaluable in this new world. Skills that were once deemed archaic, like hunting, foraging, and firemaking, now take center stage. Knowledge about medicinal plants, edible fungi, or how to purify water can mean the difference between life and death. These skills are taught and passed down, becoming a vital part of the community's collective wisdom. In the face of adversity, humanity adapts, innovates, and perseveres. Out of necessity springs invention. The communities that survive and thrive are those that embrace change, equip themselves with the necessary knowledge, and work cooperatively towards a common goal. The supervolcano's eruption might have brought about unprecedented destruction, but in its wake, it also catalyzes a rebirth, a chance for humanity to rebuild and redefine itself in ways it never thought possible. As the ash settles and new societies rise, the very fabric of societal norms is reshaped. The most evident change is the emergence of new powers. In the face of an existential crisis, traditional forms of governance may prove ineffective or impractical, giving way to new, more adaptive systems. These can range from communal assemblies to autocratic regimes, each with its own advantages and challenges. The necessity of survival forces a re-evaluation of values and ideologies. Material wealth and status symbols lose their significance in the face of tangible, survival-oriented resources. Communal cooperation, resource management, and practical knowledge become the new currency, empowering those who possess these attributes. Consequently, those who were powerless in the old world, the farmers, the craftsmen, the survivalists, now emerge as the new leaders. However, these power dynamics aren't without their pitfalls. As history has repeatedly shown, in times of crisis, there is always the risk of despotic rule. Power can be used or abused, depending upon the hands that wield it. Hence, the formation of ethical, accountable governance becomes crucial in maintaining a balanced society. The post-collapse world also sees the emergence of new ideologies. The realization of humanity's vulnerability against nature might inspire a more ecocentric worldview, where human life is seen as part of a complex ecosystem rather than its master. This could lead to practices that respect and work in harmony with the environment, a stark contrast to the exploitative tendencies of the past. Religion and spirituality may undergo transformations too. The cataclysmic event could give rise to new beliefs, rituals, and mythologies as people seek to make sense of their drastically altered world. Existing religions may evolve, incorporating elements of the supervolcano eruption into their narratives. In navigating these changes, survivors must adapt and learn. They must understand the new rules of the world, adopt the beneficial ideologies, and challenge the harmful ones. They must also negotiate their place in the power dynamics, either by aligning with the emerging powers or by forging their own path. The post-supervolcano world is not just a test of survival, but also a test of adaptability and resilience. These new systems rising from the ashes are not just a response to a catastrophic event. They are a testament to humanity's enduring spirit, a reflection of our capacity to rebuild, reinvent, and reimagine. The supervolcano changes the world, but it also changes us, for better or worse. As we navigate this new world, we are not just surviving, we are evolving. In the face of such monumental upheaval, it becomes clear that surviving a supervolcano eruption isn't just about enduring the initial blast or the subsequent brutal winter. It's about more than just finding food and shelter, about more than merely staying alive. True survival is about adaptability, about resilience, about the ability to change and grow in response to unfathomable challenges. It is about the capacity to reinvent oneself, to learn and unlearn, to mold and be molded by the world that has irrevocably changed. In the wake of the supervolcano's wrath, humanity would be forced to confront its own fragility, its own insignificance in the face of nature's raw power. The illusion of supremacy would shatter, replaced by a newfound respect for the environment and the complex ecosystem that we are an integral part of. This respect could potentially guide us towards a more sustainable and balanced way of life, wherein we live in harmony with the world around us, rather than seeking to dominate it. The supervolcano would also force us to confront the fragility of our civilization. The institutions, systems, and technologies that we take for granted could be rendered useless in an instant. The norms and values that we hold dear could be upended. Yet, it is in this fragility that we find our strength. For it is only when we are broken that we can rebuild. Only when we are lost that we can find a new path. In the ashes of the old world, a new world would be born, a world shaped by the lessons learned from the supervolcano. It would be a world where adaptability is valued over rigidity, where cooperation is favored over competition, where humility is cherished over hubris. It would be a world where survival isn't just about living, but about living well, about creating a society that is just, equitable, and sustainable. In the end, the supervolcano represents more than just a catastrophic event. It represents a catalyst for change, a force that compels us to confront our weaknesses and tap into our strengths. It forces us to redefine what it means to survive, to thrive, to be human. And though the skies may turn to ash, though the world as we know it may end, humanity will endure. For as long as we can adapt, as long as we can learn, as long as we can dream, we will survive. We will rebuild. We will rise from the ashes, stronger and wiser, ready to face whatever challenges the future may hold. Because that is what it means to truly survive. That is what it means to be human. Thanks for listening. This has been How to Survive the Apocalypse. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you'd like to support the show, subscribe to the Forbidden Knowledge Network on Patreon. Subscribe now.